Darren, that win on the weekend probably hasn't quite settled down yet in training. Everyone must be buzzing still.
We said that win would fill the lads full of confidence. We can see that in training. We've got an important 2 games coming up, Swindon and our FA Youth Cup game. So I think it'll be important for the players to make sure they got the right mindset going into the Swindon game in preparation for the FA Youth Cup on Wednesday.
I don't think it's probably not so apparent to people who don't pay like real close attention to the academy, but obviously we had a first-hand experience driving Will and Reese up to the Sheffield Wednesday Cup game directly after the Exeter game. How pleasing is it for you to see at this stage of the season still lads like Will and Reese, and I know there are others as well, getting minutes with the first team? Reese came on in the last minute of that game.
I think probably is making sure that they leave the first team staff with an impression, whether that's the willingness to work hard, whether that's that competitive fire in their belly, so they can return to that position when the gaffer feels those numbers are needed. Sometimes it can be positional selection, sometimes the Arsenal game was a magical moment to sit back and watch the players support the first team players like they did, and I think that was a big ask for our younger players, but the experience they're gaining as well, I think the gaffer's not been shy to use them.
And it's not just those lads as well, there are a few that end up travelling that maybe don't get into the squad that you may not necessarily know about, but they're constantly in and around the picture, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah, on a Thursday or a Friday, in terms of my position as a coach, us as staff, we have to adapt, but I think there's a knock-on effect to that. The younger players in the 16s and some in the 15s are then gaining that experience, which is invaluable really to a young player in terms of their development.
And it's dangling that kind of carrot as well, isn't it? All of the young lads coming through, they can see the pathway in action now, can't they, in a way that maybe a few years ago it wasn't quite as strong as it is now.
I think from the moment I come in and meeting the staff, Neil Dewsnips played a massive part in terms of creating that pathway and what it should look like, and getting the rest of the coaches to coach joined up, and we're all working towards one thing, and that's producing professional footballers, which can be quite a complex process. There's 4 key components, key drivers. Obviously the psychological side, the tactical, the technical and the physical, and you've got to get every single one of them right in terms of producing a footballer. So we're all trying to make sure we're all joined up in our coaching, and I think you're starting to see, and it's not just one age group. I think in terms of the 9s all the way up through, you can see an identity, you can see a philosophy.
And I guess a winning culture as well. I looked at your results a moment ago in the league. You've had, I think I'm right in saying, 4 wins in the last 5. What's starting to click there for you? What's happening to see that upturn in results in your mind?
I think the mindset from the players, I touched on it earlier, that competitive fire, the winning mentality. Everyone works hard for a team. We have got controllables in terms of the hardest working team, playing the Plymouth way. Everyone's got to be a leader on the pitch, and winning is a consequence of your performance. So we're all making sure we're aiming for one thing, and that's to be successful.
You're 5th in the Youth Alliance League at the moment, if I'm right, and Swindon are 4th, but I think with your 2 games in hand you could go a point off the top. Bournemouth are currently top, and obviously you've had the better of them so far this season. Do you think it's a realistic aspiration to close that gap to the top teams?
I would like to think so. It's going to be interesting in terms of making sure we're not distracted by the FA Youth Cup, because it's so important that the players, it's the next game and you're only as good as your last game. When we've had that little bit of adversity or that punch on the nose, we've responded really well with that bounce back ability. So they're all key sort of ingredients that you look for in a successful team. We've just got to make sure we maintain that discipline in our performances and what we do on and off the pitch, and that's what we can control.
And what are your thoughts on Saturday's opposition, Swindon?
Swindon are coached very well. They've got really good organisation in terms of out of possession. They've got speed on transition. They attack with numbers, and like ourselves, they're very competitive. So it'll be an interesting game, and a game that we're all looking forward to.
You touched on it earlier, but is there any thought in your mind with regard to selection? Obviously, with the game on Saturday and then the big FA Cup game on Tuesday, do you have to balance the squad at all, or do you just trust them to be fit and ready for both games?
I think it's not unfortunate. I mean, sometimes the team, if they're winning, it picks itself. If players are called up to the first team, we have to adapt. So it'll be about who's ready for selection, who's trained well throughout the week, and then we'll work out the numbers what we then got for Wednesday. So it'll be, as I said, it'll be by tomorrow we'll know what the team is.